pledge allegiance. At this time, just join, bow your heads with us for a word of prayer. Father God, we thank you for allowing us to assemble ourselves here this evening. We're so grateful for all of your blessings and your mercies that you've bestowed upon us. We pray that you continue to bless the town of Whiteville, bless its leadership, and all of those that does business with this town. Lord, we pray that you would just bless them. We ask your blessings upon our community, upon our state, upon the United States, and yes, of this world. Now we ask that you would enable us to do the business of this town on this evening, yes, and let everything that we do be done to bring you glory. Yes. And this we ask in the name of Jesus. Amen. Amen. Join me for the Pledge of Allegiance, if you don't mind. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you so much. All right. Let's get right down to business here. Roll call, please.
Austin Holmes. Here. Tommy Turner.
Here.
Jimmy Lee Robinson.
Here.
Deborah Burking. Here. Ernest Purdle.
Here.
Jesse Giles.
Present.
The February 6, 2023 meeting was called to order by Mayor Dean Dowden. Board members present were Austin Holmes, Tommy Turner, Jesse Giles, Ernest Purdle, Deborah Burking, and Jimmy Lee Robinson. A motion was made by Jimmy Lee Robinson to approve minutes as read. Second, Austin Holmes. Motion carried. Communications was given from the mayor. Motion was made by Deborah Burking to hire Matthew Graber as the new fire chief. Second, Jesse Giles. Motion carried. Motion was made by Deborah Burking to approve the mutual aid resolution. Second, Tommy Turner. Motion carried. Motion was made by Tommy Turner to approve application for a FEMA grant. Second, Ernest Purdle. Motion carried. Jesse Giles. Motion to purchase one of the police vehicles from the drug fund that was approved from the loan and purchase a vehicle or equipment for the public works department from the loan funds instead. Second, Jimmy Lee Robinson. Motion carried. A motion was made by Deborah Burking to approve violent crime interventions grant application for the county and city level. Second, O.C. Holmes. Motion carried. A motion was made by Deborah Burking to apply for community grants, the Local Commission on Agents, Southwest Tennessee We Cares, Tennessee Arts Commission, when available. A motion was made by Deborah Burking to approve the first reading of ordinance 2023-0203 to amend the official zoning map to reclassify a portion of property on US Highway 64, which is Gail Wiscon's property, from R2 to D2 district. Second, Tommy Turner. Motion carried. A motion was made by Deborah Burking to approve resolution dedicating the US Highway 64 Main Street to Ramsey Fleet. Second, O.C. Holmes. Motion carried. Reports from officers, staff, and board members were given. A motion was made by Jesse Giles to approve Lise Daly as the new library board member. Second, Ernest Purdle. Motion carried. A motion was made by O.C. Holmes to approve the utility adjustments of $51.71 and charge-offs of $237.98. Second, Tommy Turner. Motion carried. A motion was made by Deborah Burking to approve paid invoices from January the 1st through January 31st. Second, Jesse Giles. Motion carried. Notices were given, having no other business to come before the board. A motion was made by Tommy Turner to adjourn. Second, Jimmy Lee Robinson. Motion carried.
All right, we heard the reading of our minutes from our last meeting. Any comments, any correction as it relates to our minutes from our last meeting? If not, we'll entertain a motion.
I so move we accept the minutes.
A second.
All right, the motion been made, met with a second that we approve our minutes from our last meeting. All those in favor, let it be known by the usual sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, okay, motion carries. All right. Okay, next on the agenda, we call for communication from the mayor. And I will utilize this time to bring to you Mr. Michael Mitchell, who would talk to us about, the state plan or Tennessee plan, growth plan, and how it applies to us and what advantage it would be for us to participate in that growth plan as we anticipate growth in our town. So, Mike, if you would just come to the mic and tell us what you have for us there and how that would benefit the town of Whiteville to participate in this.
Thank you, Mayor. Good to be here to help y'all through this process. I'm gonna hand you out. This is some information that we had with coordinating committee from the county met last month. And this is the same information that I shared in the presentation there. We're gonna keep this kind of short, just gonna let you know what we're looking at and the purpose of the growth plan and how it applies. The Hardin County Growth Plan, the state law is that every county has to have a growth plan. That was passed in 1998, codified in 2000, and had to be done by 2001. And back then, I don't know if anybody was on this board back when that all occurred or not. It was quite a process because that's when the state says you don't get any block grants until you do this.
Okay.
It was that series of things that got everybody involved. And what it is, it's a projected area of where your city or the county expects to grow over a 20-year period. It's just a projection. And the purpose of that is, when it comes to municipality, first let me show you, the map that I give you is our current growth plan. Now this was amended. We did the first one in 2000, and you have to wait, the state law says you wait 3 years. After that, you can amend it as often as you want to, but it depends on if you're in a growing area or a declining area sometimes. And so the purple area is the current growth area for Whiteville, Tennessee. That's the gray area there is your city limit boundaries on this map. The green area is Bolivar's growth, urban growth area. The red down there is Middleton. So all the colors are different municipalities, growth area. Now this was amended in 2011. So some of you may have been on this board when you did this in 2011. I don't know if you were or not. Because it is quite a process to go through this. I had this scaled out, I apologize for not knowing what Whiteville's growth area is, but all these little colored areas, the yellow, the blue, the red, total up to about 60,000 acres now that is in a growth area in the county. And the purpose of these growth areas, first of all, these are municipal growth areas, which are urban growth areas. Each city has their own. These would be the only places that your city ever wanted to grow and annex property from. You can only annex from something in your colored area, ever. I mean, so it's important you know, this gets at least addressed. You may not want to move forward and expand it more, but you know, we're expecting some serious growth in this area of our county over the next 20 years because of Blue Oval. And that's the reason the county mayor said, you know, there'd be a few cities that want to initiate this, and the county may be interested in having their own growth area for, and what growth area does, it allows for higher density development, for high density residential, high density commercial, and high density industrial. That's it. I mean, so everything else in this white area here is all low to medium density stuff, and of course the county zones that. You all don't zone anything in the white areas, and you don't even zone the colored areas. These are not your municipal boundaries, but the county zones that. You can't zone that, but the purpose of having these growth areas is the county may come in here and develop a lot of stuff around your city, and you're missing out on taxes of it. And you are the ones that's gonna be responsible for supplying water and sewer. And so it would stand to give you a little bargaining chip here if they're in this area. If the county's putting something in your growth area and they're adjacent to your city limits, you'd have the opportunity to annex it. Look, let's work a deal here. Industry come into our city, let us make some taxes off of you while you're here. I mean, so, you know, this comes down to this is the only way a city has the ability to ever grow its boundaries is if you've got this area working. Like I said, in my mind, there's about 8,000 or 9,000 acres in your growth area now. But if you look at the purple, it stops just a little bit north of your city limits there. And our growth coming from Blue Oval is gonna be up 179.
Right.
I know almost every landowner up there, and they're calling me because they're getting inundated with phone calls, people wanting property and everything else, they're trying to hold out or what to do and this, that, and the other. I'm like, these aren't really high density development area yet, because the county isn't prepared for that. Now, if y'all were to extend your growth area up north, further up 179, then, you know, it would allow at least if the county to go in and do it, and then the county would be making provisions and working with the cities, hopefully, to say, hey, we need some, you know, we need water out here or whatever, because you gotta have sprinkler systems and things for fire safety and human safety.
So let me just try to make everybody understand. So putting the growth plan together it's just projection, really. It's not really, even though we don't have infrastructure in that area,
Right.
we can make those projections.
Correct.
Okay.
And the state law says that when it comes to municipalities, that you would utilize your planning department, your planner, your regional planning commission, and MTAS and their resources, and they have access to University of Tennessee and Southwest Tennessee and things like that. This is a comprehensive thing. They will do an assets of all your resource asset library, basically of all your buildings, what you got, rentable vacant space. I mean, this is probably a 30, 40 page report. It's quite detailed. It's something that you probably aren't gonna be able to tackle on your own. But the process of this is, after the coordinating committee meets the first time, and we had our first official meeting last month, 6 months before this has to be concluded and approved. So each city that's interested, now some cities already told me they're not gonna do anything, so they just sit back and wait on the cities that do want to do something.
Right.
Tune, I think, wants to do something. I think Baller's already been planning for this for the last year or so. They kinda got some areas. And, you know, so it may just be 2 or 3 cities that wanna do this. But when you come up with this, when you get this report back of where you kinda guide where you wanna go, and let them kinda work the magic of, here's why we wanna go up in this area and how it's gonna be beneficial, because it has to be approved by the state.
Right.
So you need a good quality report put in, and then once you get that, and your planning commission says, hey, we like what you've come up with, it comes before this board for 2 public hearings, okay? If Whiteville's gonna do it, you'll have 2 public hearings, and you can have a special public hearing if you want to, and then you would vote on it to adopt your own municipal growth area. And every other city would be doing this simultaneously in a couple consecutive months or whatever. And then after it gets, all the cities have got their 2 public hearings, and let's just assume all 9 cities did this, and the county had a little area. So there'd be 20 public hearings just getting it to that point. If everybody wanted to participate in this thing, there'd be 20 public hearings that would happen over a couple of months.
Okay.
Once they all come together, they come back to the coordinating committee, which the mayor and myself and 17 other people, all the other mayors are on it. You got somebody from DEA, somebody from Baldwin Utility, school board. They're in that packet, there's a list of the coordinating committee on there. So there's 19 people in the community that are on this thing. It comes back to us, and we make sure that all the players are getting along. Now, they have any interlapping areas. If there's a dispute, somebody says, I want this in my growth area, I want this in my growth area, we gotta settle that dispute. I've been on about 6 of these, I've never had a dispute. And so typically, you know, everybody kind of works together. You say we're working in this area. So when that happens, the coordinating committee will have their own 2 public hearings on this and it will look more like a map. When y'all pass it around in your area, you're just gonna have a purple and wherever you expand it to. And it's gonna be in this, you know, that's what you're gonna bring to this meeting and show the public of what you're doing and why, and this, that, and the other. And then you vote on it, and if you like it, you pass it, and you send it to the coordinating committee, and then it just sits there until everybody comes in, and then we all get together. And so we got some meetings pre-planned, and what I was getting at is, once that coordinating committee meets like it did last month, state law says you get 6 months to do all this.
Okay.
Okay, now, this thing was amended in 2011, it started in 2009, it kind of ignored the timeline.
Right.
But it's a quick thing, so that's why I said tonight, definitely by next month, you need to decide if you're going to do it and have your planning commission loose on where they wanna do it and get your, maybe get University of Tennessee or MTAS to help you move this along, because, we're looking at, you would probably need to have your report back here and ready to present to a public hearing on June, at your June meeting.
Okay.
Maybe another one in July. or, you know, if you had to have a special meeting, just have it, whatever. The reason I say that is because the coordinating committee's got a tentative date of the end of July, and I think the first package you got, we attempted this meeting a month before, because the dates are wrong, but we got our second coordinating committee meeting tentatively set for July 23rd.
Okay.
And then again, August 8th. That keeps us in that 6-month window. Once it's approved, it goes to the state economic development, and the state will review it and sign off on it.
Okay.
And so this thing, it has teeth. The reason you can't just go, like I said, this white area, which is nobody's area. If the county goes out here and puts some high-density stuff out here, there was a lawsuit recently about the Royal Oak thing. They were throwing high-density industrial development out in the middle of nowhere,
Yeah.
out in the area of White. And the reason that should have been challenged by probably Whiteville, because that could have been an area that you would have wanted to consider in your growth plan. And the county just took it and said, we're gonna do what we wanna do. And y'all had every right to challenge that zoning because they went beyond and put a high-density use out in the middle of something that was really closer to your city. And the county didn't have. The county has the opportunity to have a growth area as well. They passed on that both in 2000 and 2011. So they don't have that opportunity to put high-density stuff out in the middle of nowhere. They were getting away with it, nobody caught it. But again, that's why every city has an opportunity. So if you go putting something in between Bolivar and Middleton, you know, and Bolivar just jumped out here and said, I want to do, or well, the county just jumped out there and did that. Same thing, Bolivar and Middleton could challenge what the county does. So I mean, the cities have the right to keep these counties at bay to some degree if they would. Yeah, I don't know if they know to do that, but this map is what allows that. So the advantage of you all doing this, because the growth is, I think, coming in this direction, is, like I said, to give you the opportunity. I know the county is working on their zoning stuff. It's been out of whack for a long time. And they're gonna start putting some provisional things for their commercial industrial use, meaning water requirements. And if they jump out here and zone something 4 or 5 miles out, their provisions are gonna be, that developer is gonna be having to run water. Okay, and they pay for it. You don't have to pay for it, you need to let them, but you need to be involved to say, hey, tap our system, because what that does is give you a few miles that you can now, if it's within your growth area, you can tee off of that and water subdivisions or whatever. So you know, this is the reason you gotta think of this. Like I said, it gives you the opportunity to grow in an area that you're gonna be wanting, you know, that the growth is going. So.
Well, that's why I wanted you to come before the board tonight to give us some insight into what this is all about and how we can benefit.
Okay.
So let us, you know, the board member's gonna look over this, and we're gonna get back with you, and I need to talk to you as well, so.
I'll be glad to meet with your planner.
Sure,
It's kind of point them in the right direction. You know, like I said, help you kind of work through this thing.
Gotcha.
But y'all just kind of need, like I said, if you don't make a decision tonight to move forward with it, probably the next month, otherwise you're gonna kind of be, give your people a month.
Because there is a
to pile
timeline,
that.
yeah. All right, I appreciate it. Okay. All right. Okay, so now, we're privileged to have the town's attorney, our city attorney, Mr. Nathan Pride, or Judge Pride, with us tonight, and, we are so grateful for his legal counsel to make sure that everything we do in this town, we're doing it according to local and state ordinances, and so, we appreciate, all of his, expert legal counsel. So he's here tonight to talk to us, to the board, concerning some things that we've had him look into and get some answers for us on some issues here, so, Judge Pride.
Hope we got some answers.
Well,
I do. I want to thank the Senator for writing in on the bottom of the agenda that I'm supposed to talk about. The real reason that I came, which was about the block grant,
the block
which I got a call from the state a couple of days ago regarding that. And they had some concern about the bid process. I'm assuming everybody knows what I'm talking about. I don't have to go into any background. And that's very, very important because it has to do with your sewer updates and so forth. Well, it turns out the low bidder, OnSquare LLC, out of Arlington, I believe, failed to complete the bid packet correctly. The part that they didn't, it's an extensive form. The form, of course, as most government forms, gets more extensive every time that they, issue new bid requirements. So this particular part, when I went over, the part that they left out had to do with subcontractors and subcontractor regulations, and that's very, very important, because if a subcontractor is not qualified or doesn't have a proper license or is barred from doing, let's say, electrical, and that person does electrical, then it could cause the whole project to fail. So the main contractor has to make sure that that particular certification has been completed. Just a one-page form, but it's missing from the bid. Now, you have options at this point. You can reject that bid completely. You can go to the second lowest bidder, of course, that's an option. You can start all over again, which I would not recommend that you do, at this time.
Right.
Because I know this is very, very important. You also have some possibility of getting other grants, understand that could complete the missing part that you need to make this a whole project and not cost the city any money out of this coffers. So, in terms of recommendation, my recommendation is that, I don't know anything about OnScore, so I'm assuming that you all have done diligence in regard to their ability to do the project, assuming that they can do the project, that the mayor, contact them and give them 24 hours to complete the bid process. If they can get that done within 24 hours, then it shouldn't cause the entire bid to fail. And I think Ms. Smith and them in that office can then, let the state state regulators know that the bid process has been completed, that's the bid that you all wish to go with. Simple process, and I think they would understand it's just probably an oversight more than anything else.
Right.
But that certification is very, very important, again, because it deals with subcontractor disbarment and those kind of things, and you wanna make sure, if you've ever dealt with lien process, subcontractors can come in and they can really be the death of the project if they're not regulated and oversight is done properly. So you wanna make sure that's definitely done. So in terms of recommendation, Mayor, I would recommend that you all simply give them 24 hours notice to correct the deficiencies. If they don't wanna do that, or can't do it in that time frame, then move to the second lowest bidder.
Yeah.
And of course, that narrows your dollars in terms of being the official low bidder. But if that low bidder is what you want and meets all other requirements, then that would be my recommendation.
All right.
And that be done, be today's, Monday. Okay.
Yes.
So, give them, notify them tomorrow, give them to Wednesday to do it. And then that should put you on solid footing and not violate any laws. And when Ms. Smith called me, they wanted to make sure that no laws were violated. I looked at, I might ignore either the statute that would not allow the city to have that option. And when we have that option, it doesn't, call the second bidder or third bidder, say you're rigging the bids and
Right.
that line. So you wanna make sure that you're completely open, with everybody. This was a low bidder, appears to be one item missing, everything else met, requirements of the state. So that's an easy fix in my opinion. It puts the ball back in their court, and then if it's not met, then move on.
Gotcha. All right. Appreciate that.
Any questions on that one?
Okay, that's, yeah.
There are 3 other issues that I was asked by Ms. Simmons to look at regarding, matters of some importance to the city. The first one had to do with a company called RCG Trucking. You all signed an agreement with them. It's a little bit unusual, the agreement, and you all probably don't have this as part of the packet, but I'm gonna pass this around, Mr. Mayor. This is the actual deed, and I'm gonna, see if I can circle the part that we allege, they violated. They were given 2 years within which to, do development on the acreage that they were given, in addition to the trucking, business. They've not done it, as my understanding, I'm gonna take this in the word, they've done nothing to improve their property. And so therefore, they are in violation of that agreement. You just pass it around. So the question then becomes, how do you fix that? So I contacted the trucking company. I talked to one of the co-owners by the name of Cindy. She says, Mr. Massey is the head guy. Talked to Mr. Massey, and I can't get Mr. Massey to call me. So I sent Mr. Massey a correspondence, and did you pass that, make a copy, everybody? I gave a copy to the mayor, but you all can get it, and advise him that he's violated the contract, and we'd like to have the property back.
Gotcha.
Now technically, the way you would do that, it's almost like a foreclosure, because that's a deed, and to do it the proper way, you have to do the notice and foreclose and so forth. But I'm hoping that by the letter that I sent to them, that would get some reaction to them. And then if they're not doing it, they can give us a timetable to them that they intend to do it. And then if you all approve, we can give them some extension if they, are believable and you all wish to do that. Otherwise, then you instruct me to begin that foreclosure process and I'll begin that foreclosure process
Okay.
along that line. And the reason why I say give them, see what they react to, because, 2 years ago, we were right in the middle of COVID and other things. And when you, send letters out like the one that I sent, that's the first thing you hear, well, we were right in the middle of COVID, and behind that was, supply chain issues that came along with it, and they wouldn't be telling a lie about any of that. All those were real, issues that businesses had to deal with, and I'm sure it affected the trucking industry. In fact, they were, some of the main ones having to deal with supply chain issues, you know, getting the products to the truck, you know, where they need to go, with gasoline prices on, and other things that affect that type of industry. So I'm hoping that the letter that I sent to them will be effective, and I get to talk to Mr. Massey, and we can perhaps work that out, because I wrote the letter kind of hard. So
Good.
it's short and hard, so you violated, we move it on, and that should get some reaction. The third matter was having to do with, 111 Main Street. So I got here a little early and I went down to look at it. That's where your Humane Society, it says Humane Society store on the door, but my correspondent indicates it's Humane Society, so I'm looking for maybe cages and dogs and cats, but I see what they were doing, was selling, was like goods and goods to raise money for the Humane Society. And it appears to be abandoned. I asked Ms. Simmons, how long has the closed temporary sign been on it? She said at least 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
So I don't know how you measure temporary, but that seems like permanent to me. So my correspondence to, I believe, Mr. Martin, let me check my notes, see who I sent that to. Indicated to him that, the building appears to be abandoned, and we're gonna consider it abandoned unless they, did something to contact me within 10 days. We will consider it, abandoned, and then take steps to procure it for the city and then do other things with it. Again, that letter is intended to get them to do something, because from looking at that building, to empty that building and gut it and start over, get all the stuff out, would be, cost some money to do that. It appears to be, it's at least a 2-story building, and it's big. And so I wouldn't wanna put that cost on you, but, if they indicate to me they've abandoned the building and have no desire to go back in it, and the city owns that building, which I'm assuming it does, then my instruction would be to do what you have to do in order to get that building cleaned out, and maybe somebody can wanna come into it that has a real purpose for it. It seems to be a very solid structure, just full of junk. And with that kind of junk come rats and other things that come along with it, so you're inviting trouble when you let it sit, for 5 years, and it's called temporary.
Yeah, so I did discover that through our tax assessor, that Humane Society has been, dissolved.
Okay.
And so he's looking at contacting the state comptroller's office to get it off of the
Assessment list?
right, so that it can go back on the list, the tax, because it's no longer tax exempt.
Okay.
Since it no longer operates, it hadn't operated for quite some time.
Okay.
So that letter should do it. I mean, they respond and that should do that.
And that leads to the third area, actually the fourth area in terms of what my talk this evening would be about. The other concern is whether or not you have ordinances that will allow you to enforce, I'm gonna call it dilapidated buildings, or buildings that have been abandoned. Am I putting that right, Ms. Simmons? Buildings that have not been occupied quite some time. I bought your ordinance with me, and I read through it, and you have an ordinance already in place, in chapter, let me go back. Your book needs updated.
Okay.
Nothing is where it's supposed to be.
Okay.
But at 13205, you have, a procedure where you can, consider a property, to be unsightly, unkept, and then you can take, steps to, enforce your ordinances already in place, which require them to clean up that building, weeds, grow, and other things. I think there was one word that I thought was rather unique to this, that you all can call it unfit for human occupancy. And so if it's unfit for occupancy, then you can declare it a nuisance and then move forward to
Okay.
private business. I don't think you need to change the ordinance, just need to enforce.
Just enforce what we have.
What you already have.
Okay.
You have a city court, and you can enforce that ordinance through that method.
Okay,
So I wouldn't recommend that you change the ordinance, just enforce what you already have.
right, gotcha.
And if it doesn't work, then we can make some changes to it.
All right.
That would be my recommendation. So that's 4 areas that I've discussed this evening. Are there any questions about either of them?
Yes, I've got a question. On the RCG trucking and industrial park, the board voted to go ahead and take to take back the property. Was that legal? I mean, do we go forward from that since we did?
Well, a vote would be an instruction to me to do just what
That's
I
right.
did, which would be to notify them that they're in violation of that agreement. And the reason I passed it down, because it's not a typical agreement. It has a lot of things that they're supposed to do and give you all the option to vote and approve things that they've done. They've not done it. And I expect them to say, in fact, when I talked to them, earlier, I said, how's business? He said, business is great. Now.
Now,
And then my question, well, why haven't you developed the property down in Whiteville? So then it got quiet.
okay,
So what does that tell you? That they're doing fine.
Yeah.
But they've just forgotten that they have this agreement with the city. And you've not forgotten. So, before I would begin foreclosure proceedings, I would wanna make sure that there's not some hope that this can be developed and simply not put it back in and you gotta start over from square one.
Well, I know, and we have done this before. We've taken land back from one business because they did not do what they were supposed to and stuff. And so I wanna be fair across the board to every citizen, you know. You know, if we took that away from them, you know, how long are we gonna keep, you know, giving them chance after chance after chance? But like you said also, COVID was in the middle of
Right,
COVID.
right.
I understand that. But
And that means something, and I'm glad that it is doing good on March 6, 2023, but that may not have been doing quite so well, you know, a year ago, and I don't know what their timetable is. So just to give them the benefit of the doubt, like I said, I sent a very terse letter, and it's gonna generate a response. I expect to hear from them or their attorney shortly.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah, that's what we want, and then I'll make further report, hopefully at the April meeting, before then to the mayor, once I receive some response one way or another. They may say, fine, we don't care, but I don't think that's what they're gonna do. Question number 2.
any other questions from Judge Pryor?
Thank you all very much for having me, and
Thank you.
Thank
For coming and explain those things to us.
stay with 24/7.
All right, appreciate it. Okay, that moves us down to, comments from the citizens. Yes. Does anyone have any comment? Okay, would you step to the mic?
I don't know who he has been sending letters to for the Humane Society building,
Okay,
but they've never gotten to myself, cause I was the president of the Humane Society
okay,
ever. I went by our post office box on Saturday. The only letter I got from the city of, Whiteville was about coming to the meeting in January.
okay,
I don't agree with what you're trying to do with the building. It has been empty, but there's been an awful lot of buildings in town that have been empty much longer. And, I mean, we've done activity, we had to have the roof repaired when the storm came through and ripped the roof off for the second time. And I don't know what you're trying to prove or trying to do with the building. I told, I don't know what her name is over
Angie?
there, that if the city wants to buy it, they can buy it.
okay, who's the owner?
The Humane Society,
Okay, is the Humane Society active?
we are not active, but we are still in operation. And until we were told that until we actually, because so many of our members have passed away from old age, that until we actively shut it down with the state, we are still considered an organization.
Okay,
We still have post office box, we still have,
do you have a charter?
yes, we do.
Okay,
And so I've been by several times, and I know you put the tables out and the lights out in the lot, which belongs to the Humane Society. But I was told that, it wasn't ours, it was donated to us. We bought the building and the lot to the side.
the Humane Society did?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so how many members you have in your society now?
Right now, we only have 4.
Okay.
Like I said, we've had so many pass away, and so we haven't been very active because the man which is my husband, that was, running the store has had one illness after another. And so I tried doing it by myself, couldn't do it by myself.
Okay, this is where we stand. We've reached out to every property owner in our downtown district.
Not us.
Well, we've made every attempt, because we
No, you've never made any attempt to contact us.
Angie, have you not met them over in, I don't think it's up for discussion, but she's tried to
I've
talk to your
seen
husband.
her at Walmart,
Okay.
and I've also had a discussion with her, and the last one, she threatened me, and I don't like it. Oh, yes, you did. About, we'll see what's gonna happen about your building. We're taking the building. It doesn't matter,
Okay,
I'm
go-
just telling you.
So anyway, go ahead, Judge Pryor.
May I respond? I don't know who Mike Daniel is.
Danielson,
Who is that?
Well, I'll
That's
say
my
that.
husband.
P.O. Box 97, Whiteville. That's where, if he hasn't got correspondence, he'll be getting it. And that's where we were sending correspondence to, is if it's Danielson would make that change. I would check with Nashville tomorrow to see whether or not the charter for the Humane Society for Hardin County is still valid.
Yes.
There are some regulations on how long you have to reinstate your charter once it's been taken or dissolved, if you're not sending the regulatory forms and the fees that they require every year. You're not really an organization that's recognized by the state. State doesn't recognize it, city doesn't have to recognize it. So you have to get your business back together before the city can recognize it.
So
That's one thing. Then the second issue is ownership of the building. I'm not checking the ownership of the building, but I will, and I will determine who owns it. If it's still owned by the society.
It's
then
owned
other
by
things
the
have to be
society.
done. Yes, they may want to purchase it. I'm not sure, but if they don't, the city has regulations required to keep it from being unfit, and right now it's unfit.
how is it unfit?
It's not habitable. Have you been by it?
Oh, yeah, it's been inside of it. We had to go inside of it when the roof
It
was
appears to be in
off.
terrible shape. We'd like the opportunity to inspect it just to make sure. And if you can get the opportunity, we'd like to do that. And I'm getting ahead of myself, Mr. Mayor, but I
Yeah,
would like to, since I'm here,
Yeah,
take those steps.
so that's what we do. We're trying to vitalize our entire downtown.
So are you
we're
doing
not
it
asking-
to all the buildings?
Absolutely, we went into Mr. Bland's, a couple weeks ago. We're not asking any more of them than we're asking of you. We're asking you the same thing of all of our property owners.
And ma'am, do you have the deed that's, for the property?
I don't have it with me, but yes, we do.
It has your name on it and your husband's name on it.
Yes, and, well, the other, lady that was on it, our treasurer at the time, is no longer with us, she's passed away. Like I said, we've had quite a few of them pass away from old age.
So you say you got a letter in January, so why you didn't respond in
No,
January?
we got a letter in November,
Mhm.
I just picked it up Saturday, this last Saturday,
I was
to
down in
come
Fort
to the
Lauderdale.
meeting in January.
Okay,
We don't go by there all the time.
I think the whole matter will be resolved when, Judge Pryor checks into those things that he's done. And so we'll be able to move forward from there.
I just need can I get the proper name of the entity, ma'am? So,
Hardin County Humane Society,
okay.
And not to be confused with, one in Bolivar.
no, that's a,
That's another.
adoptable animals
That's
or
animals
something.
adopted, okay, all right, so, okay,
Thank you for.
all right. Well, thank you for coming, because we just tried to get some answers, we didn't know. what
Well,
to
I mean, I wasn't aware all of this was going on until someone stated, Cause she's been wanting us to donate it and told us we didn't buy it, and it doesn't matter. But we bought the building, we paid money for it, we bought it from Robert Penner, through the Penner family. I don't know if you were involved in it, but I know, and so,
Okay.
his attorney did it.
All right, thank you. Okay, is there anything else from any of the citizens? Before we actually, let's get over into our business. All right,
Got one back.
yes. All right, Commissioner Lake.
Good evening,
Good evening.
everyone. I just wanted to ask, we had a large wind come through Friday, so it blew my sign, the street sign, the 911 sign down, to the street, Bass Street in my, resident. So I just wanted to know who is responsible for, installing the sign back, or do I have to go to the, casing,
Well,
the roads?
now, I went down Cross Street, so the one there is doubled up, it just kind of,
Cause mine
Messed it up,
completely
so,
came off.
it's
and
not the only one, some other signs. Thank y'all, just Friday, y'all for coming. So,
I just need to know
You-
what
you-
procedure I need to take to have the place back.
okay, because what we
I don't
have to do is just drive around and see all the signs that were affected. I know for a fact the one that has to be replaced, I believe, up on Cross Street, right before you get to Highway 64, it's kind of,
Well,
The
mine
wind really
completely
took-
came off and I just.
and probably some others too.
Yeah,
So what we'll do, we have someone drive around town and then we'll find out what we need to do.
okay,
uh,
thank
To
you.
replace them, okay. All right, thank you, Commissioner. All right. So, we're down to ordinance, to amend zoning, second reading. And, so what we'll need is a motion, met with a second to recognize this as the second reading.
Make a motion, go ahead, Tom.
Yes, sir.
Let me finish.
Okay, so the motion has been made and met with a second that we consider this the second reading, for the ordinance to, amend zoning, for the particular property, and you have that information as well.
Mayor, can I get a copy of that, a verification that you have changed it?
Yeah, that would be available tomorrow in the,
Okay. I know.
City Hall, yeah, once it's signed, so. Okay, so the motion been made and met with a second. All those in favor, let it be known by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, motion carries. So this is the second reading, and we will, put the final touch on that, final, touches on that tomorrow in City Hall for you.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
all right.
I have a question about that too, would the map be changed immediately, or how did they do we change the map to the states have?
And we have not changed the maps,
But,
Right.
but I mean,
but as far as the
It has to be recorded
commercial,
with
it has to be
the
recorded.
Yeah.
okay, so
So
it has to be recorded at first and then the state changes?
Yeah, well, it's
No.
from,
Statement.
it was about commercial, a portion of that property was commercial at first, and somehow or another it got to be residential. So she wanted it back.
Right.
That's why we brought our zoning and planning person in to fix that.
It just has to be updated with the county has to update it with the state, so the tax assessment will be correct.
Right.
So it has to start here in order to get to the capital.
So we've gone through the process now. Okay. All right, so, interfund loan for vehicles and equipment. Ben, you gonna, are you awake? Yeah.
What we talking about now?
Sleep already.
I get it.
Oh, you got that?
Ain't you got it?
Okay.
You guys approved a loan of up to $200,000 to purchase vehicles, and then of course we changed one for equipment to the Public Works Department. And you approved it to come from the Bank of Fed, but after some more consideration, I was looking into our numbers and, looking into doing a interfund loan with the Water Department and borrowing that money from the Water Department, which is money we have sitting in the money market. So right now, it's getting 3.25%. And when you do a inter-fund loan, of course, you will have to get comparable rates, just like it's a bank. And so, being it already got those rates, 4.8, 4.9, so versus us paying the bank, we would have to pay the water fund an interest rate of, 4.9. So we
Borrow
paying
from
the city back, which it'll be making more than 3.25%. So I need permission to, do that instead.
Gotcha. Did y'all get that?
So it'll be putting more money back into the city,
City.
instead of it going
The
to the
water
bank.
department will actually make money, make more money.
If you're okay with that.
I make a motion to do that then,
Yeah.
borrow it from ourselves,
Right, mm-hmm.
borrow it from ourselves.
I second.
Yeah, that's from another department.
I second.
All right. The motion has been made with a second, regarding the interfund loan, for vehicles or equipment, and that's what that is, the interfund loan.
And that's to get, you also said that's to get what
The vehicle,
Equipment for-
yeah, for the, public works.
city, yeah,
Mhm.
public works,
Yes,
okay.
right. Okay, so the motion's been, did we get a?
Yeah.
We got a
Yeah.
motion and a second, to move forward on the interfund loan for vehicles and equipment. All those in favor, let me know by the sign of aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, same sign. All right, motion carried. All right. Okay, new business. All right, so you have in your packages the property list review. And, as you can see, our attorney told us about things that are already on the book as far as properties are concerned.
Right,
It doesn't require us to do anything but just enforce what's already on the book.
right.
So if we're trying to clean up our cities, we're not going to, leave any stones unturned. We're gonna require people to, maintain their properties.
There is a city order, right?
Well, yeah, that's what
It
he
just
said.
had never been enforced.
So it has teeth, and so we just have to, yeah,
Okay.
okay,
Place, it just ain't been enforced.
right, so,
We
Yes,
gonna
go
tell
ahead.
them about it before we get ugly about it.
go ahead.
Mayor, one of the board members, kind of wanted to address the building properly, and did ask for our building home inspector to go around. So this is how this was generated, so if you guys would look through it, now there are some he definitely wants to condemn, but there are some questionable, of course, they have to be inspected. So if you have anything that stands out and you want him to further review, please highlight it and get back with them at City Hall. And then, whatever list you come up with, we'll put it back together, put it back on the agenda for another board meeting.
All right.
I do know there is a, ordinance that, junk vehicles and everything, cause all the vehicles has to be tagged if it's sitting in your yard, and everything has to have valid tags and stuff. Okay, I don't know whether it does, surely somewhere in there this considers like old combines and stuff. It's up here on the Avens property up here coming into town, there's an old combine that I know's been there for 20 years.
That's outside the city limit, though.
Where is it, David?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Up
that-
here on the right hand side.
Or past the transformer, right?
Yeah,
oh, okay, so
It
that,
cuts off a
all
little.
those trees are.
Uh-huh.
yeah, so
All
that's,
those
Been there for
trees.
years.
Uh-huh.
so that's outside the city limit, it's not,
Yeah.
it's
That's
not.
ours, we incorporated that.
It's on the right-hand side,
That's on the right
Yeah,
hand
I
side.
don't,
but the city's actually annexed it, that's how the old
Oh, yeah.
law.
I thought it was stone, they put it on the city side.
Okay, so that should be included.
So how do we notify these people? All these
Well,
people
you,
need to be
no
notified.
ma'am, we want you to, look at it and see if there are any that you actually want him to further review from that list.
So, why we started reviewing?
Well, you
We
may
got
not
this,
think
we
it's necessary, that's quite a long.
I mean, yes, along this, but
Very-
look how long Whiteville been in this condition. It's time for y'all to do something that you're gonna do. I mean, you don't need us sugarcoating this thing. I mean, you need to make sure Whiteville, if we're gonna make sure Whiteville gonna look like something, we got to get these people to make sure they take care of their property. Even if it means condemning and tearing down their property, let's just bind them until they decide what they're gonna do. As I said, within our ordinance, that we can make, that we can come up with a fine every month, a higher loan until they,
It's $50 plus court costs.
$50, I mean.
Well,
that
plus
ain't-
court costs, $50 plus court costs is what it costs.
I think if it's an ordinance violation, I don't think it's court costs an ordinance violation, I think it's just an ordinance
Most of them
violation.
are in
It's
violation.
$50 plus court costs, ask Glenda.
Well, I say this, it's not right that people in the past have did what they supposed to do, and some of these people ain't done anything,
That's right.
you know?
I'm right there, and I've been in it all my life.
It's true.
Yeah,
I'm back.
but we gotta start somewhere.
We gotta
Yeah,
start
we gotta
somewhere,
start
so,
somewhere.
yeah, we have
So-
to start
Well,
somewhere.
we can also too, you know, we got Blue Oval looking at us, you know, we need people to come in
Clean it up.
and to
Clean it
rebuild
up.
and everything, they're not gonna come in and rebuild on
Yeah.
something that, you got a house a house down here on Main Street that's got a whole bunch of junk set in the
Right
front
in the
lawn
front
and
yard.
stuff, and
Yeah.
behind
Yeah.
it, on the junk street. They gonna say, I'm not moving into this junky town.
Yeah, people look at that.
And,
Yeah.
you know, every one of you, when you go to a town, what do? You're looking.
You're looking, that's right, and people, and they've
Everybody's
really,
looking,
they have really been looking at this town.
Yeah.
exactly.
And the fact that someone who's, connected with, getting housing for, all of the construction workers have already reached out to me. He wanted to know about available properties that, might be willing to, people would be willing to rent to some of their construction folk. So, but that's something we'll discuss at another time. But yeah, they are looking at this town, so let's fix it up, let's clean it up.
Maybe our building code inspector can send a courtesy letter addressing the property needs and
Mm-hmm.
give them a certain time.
Well, I mean-
A time to respond, how about that?
Yeah.
To start out with.
Mm-hmm, and I agree with that, I mean, you know, y'all in favor of that. And, if no action is taken, then, you know, we move to the next step. Yeah,
Mayor, I got a question. and
Yes.
If folks are living up underneath Section 8 housing, is the peoples that are renting that property out not?
they're responsible.
They're responsible for maintaining a proper, living conditions, for that Section 8 housing. Now, does that also go, I mean, are these trailer parks and stuff? I know these are low income, probably Section 8 people that are renting them out. Now, are they not gonna be held to that same standard?
Well, everybody
That
come
like,
property, regardless if they're renting or not. If they're renting, it's considered theirs, they the one paying the rent.
well, I mean, if you're talking about the condition of the property,
yeah, the
which they
property,
live,
the
that
property
falls on the
itself.
property owner.
Yes.
But if you're talking about the exterior of that property, then, the renter has a lot to do with that. If they clutter up their property with
Yeah.
all kinds of junk.
I'm talking
But-
about
but
the
but-
building itself.
Yeah, but then, you know, the property owner has some say-so in terms
Yeah.
of how you maintain his property.
Yeah, they do.
So he's allowing that, you know, whoever it is, they're allowing them to put all that junk in their yard and so.
I know.
But it need to be addressed with that property owner, I believe, first.
So we want letters to go out to everyone on the list.
Yeah,
All right.
all right, that's all we need, go ahead.
Can I ask about the property that Ms. Burking mentioned on Main Street that has that trailer in front and junk all around and on the porch? Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah.
When you're going that way, it's
Yes,
on the
ma'am.
right. Is anybody addressing that? It's really an eyesore.
It is.
And it's right in the middle of the residential property of our town.
Let's see, I told
And
Lindsay
there are
about that.
lovely houses around it
I
with
know.
well-kept yards, and that's just awful.
It is.
Are y'all doing anything anything about it, is my question.
It's on the list. He's
That's
on the list.
list,
That's
okay.
right.
And these people just recently moved here, didn't
No,
they?
No, they just sold it, it was the old parks.
It was where Miss Parks lived,
Yeah.
and passed
It
away.
is, and they sold it over a year ago, well, truck for one, Tricia left, they
Yeah.
sold it. Well, now,
But it
I
looks
don't
like
know if
somebody's
it's
trying
junk,
to
because
renovate it, but all
taking
they're
out
out
the
of
house.
Somebody's in there, huh?
jumping it up.
Somebody in there. I seen the lady sitting on the porch.
They redoing the inside or something, just throwing stuff all that.
Well, they should
Yeah.
take the proper procedure and bring and have a dumpster
Been
brought
around
out
a
there.
long time.
If you're renovating the house, that's the way you do it. You have a dumpster brought out. Yeah, you bring it up down there. But
Five.
we've been told by our lawyer that we have some,
Yeah.
we got teeth, it's all in our ordinance, we just have to enforce it, so. We know
Because
where
all
to
this
go.
stuff, causes rats and mice
I
and,
know. Yeah.
fleas and ticks.
We're gonna go ahead and move on. All right.
Thank you, I wanted to know.
All right, budget committee member recommendation.
Do we need a motion to move forward?
Oh, yes, oh, yeah. The person that's been recommended for our budget committee member, the new member would be Stephen Stanley. And we just need, a motion and a second to move forward. We put in Stephen Stanley on our budget committee.
I make a motion to do that.
Go ahead, go ahead.
I was gonna let the other board members know, Teresa Coleman, she moved to New York, so that's
Oh.
why that position's
One of our
open. Yeah.
budget committee members, yeah.
I make a motion to go. We accept Stephen Stanley.
I'll second the motion.
Okay. So the motion's been made and met with a second that we, bring Stephen Stanley upon our, budget committee as a new member. All those in favor, let it be known by the usual sign of aye. And those opposed, all right, motion carries. Okay. All right, other business, utility adjustments and charge offs. Okay, seeing that in your package there.
I've got a question on this. Under all these, it's got water only figured on 6 months average. What are you talking about there, Angie?
You get, an adjustment on the water. For some of those, there are no surrender fees. Which is correct, how we compute the adjustments, we do have to do them the same way every time. Our auditor does look at our adjustments, he looks at every month, and some people want more than what is calculated. And we have to explain to them, everybody's is calculated across the board.
Yeah.
That's fair, but we did have this big huge one on here, this is actually a meter error. We hardly ever have that happen, where the meter was actually reading wrong for a couple of months.
Yeah.
So that's why you see that large number on that big one down there, because of calculation.
Okay, so any other question about anything else on here?
These people must have pipe busted or something.
This is over there, when, during the extreme cold weather.
Yeah.
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 Did you get it fixed?
Yeah.
You did it almost
Yeah,
immediately.
yeah.
Yeah, so you didn't have a water loss, so,
But my water bill went up like $30,
okay.
but it's fine.
All right, well, if there's no question about anything else, and yet, do we have a motion to accept our utility bill and adjustments?
I make a motion.
Okay,
Second one.
All right, motion been made and second, that we accept our utility billing adjustments. All those in favor, let it be known by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, motion carries. And then, paid invoices, February the 1st through February 28th.
I make a motion to pay our bill.
All right, all right.
I second.
All right, the motion's been made and met with a second, that we, pay our bills, or approve the payment of our bills that have already been paid.
Yeah.
And so we are approving those.
Yep.
All those in favor, let it be known by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, motion carries. All right, report from officers, staff, board members at this time. Let's see. Ben, what you have for us?
Nothing really, well, the, violent crime intervention grant that I spoke to y'all about last month, got the email, last week saying that, it's been approved. They're gonna be in contact me for, I guess iron out a few more details on it. But the total amount I put in for that was like 52,000 out of the 53 something that, that we was offered. So everything with that has gone through, really good. Update as far as the new vehicles that was ordered, they're actually on the lot, in Henderson. They're currently waiting on some of the lights to come in, then we get started on, which we can't get them soon enough. Our other Dodge Charger kind of pooped out on us, yesterday. A guy was on his way in and did the exact same thing that the Silver Charger, done. Not losing oil pressure, not running hot or anything. Both times recently after getting fuel at the fuel tank, behind the police department. So luckily, since we've been doing the fuel man, getting fuel at the gas stations, we haven't had, any issues.
Okay.
So plus cost has gone down tremendously, with the fuel because of that. We had the big white oak cut down. As y'all saw, it was actually pretty rotten on the inside. So street department is steadily getting it cleaned up. Street department last Friday, they did a heck of a job. As soon as this storm started coming in, trees started falling down, all of them were out. Fire department guys were out. I was the only one, as far as officer in town that day, and I really didn't have to so much worry about everything myself. The other departments came in and took a lot off of me.
Okay.
So they stayed up for a while, taking care of all that. But
All right.
as far as anything else, everything seems to be, moving pretty smoothly.
Okay, good.
So, any questions?
You said it ready. All these is the lights.
All they need is the equipment to be installed on them, and they've already got pretty much like 90% of the equipment. They're just waiting on the light bar systems, to come in for them, because they like to get it all in, before they start installing.
They go to the building, y'all gonna pick them up.
Oh, we're gonna pick them up as soon as the first one gets done, cause we're actually down to our spare right now, that we're actually about to do an interdepartmental transfer to the fire department. So they can actually have a good running, SUV to use. So as soon as we get that first new vehicle, we'll be able to make that happen for them. All right, thank y'all.
All right. All right, let's see, we don't, have anybody from the, fire department. Oh, there you go, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Come on. I guess I'm still looking around for moves.
My name is Matthew Graber, and basically, we had 13 fires between February 14th through March, or January 14th through March. We had 13 fire calls. Everything seemed to went good on all those.
Okay.
Everything was resolved. The first responder calls, we had 11 of those medical calls. 2 trainings during that period.
Okay.
First of the month, we checked over our trucks, everything, tried to fix any deficiencies that we could while we were there. The second training, we had a firefighter SCBA fit test. So an SCBA is a self-contained breathing apparatus, and we need to, per NFPA standards, do a fit test every year. So we did that on our last meeting. We, like Chief Davis said, we responded to some storm damage last Friday. And as far as my personal agenda for getting everything switched over from Chief Morris to me, I've completed my assistant to the Commissioner of Insurance in Nashville. I've completed that application process. And my plan is to enroll in the next chief orientation class in the next upcoming months. They want it done within a year, and I'm the first available. I'll do that. Other than that, working on getting forms and stuff like that updated, and that's about it.
Well, I appreciate it, Chief.
Well, we also, too, the grant, we did get the grant in on time. So, and I think though we had to go a little bit more than what we had asked the board that night because of everything going high.
The price of, pretty much everything jumped, within like a couple months from the last quote that we had got.
Okay.
So that was why there was increase, but other than that.
And I think too, we want permission to try to get 10,000 from the Southwest Electric over here to try to buy, what is it, at least three turnouts. We're getting, we've had the speech on the turnouts, how they are, and so we're trying to reach for any kind of grant we possibly can to try to get some new ones in while we can. And,
Okay.
We can only get one grant per city, and already,
oh, what's the one from the Southwest?
I've talked to you.
You got it, huh? Well, we'll go to something else then.
Okay.
Any other questions?
No, I think that would be it, man. Thank you, appreciate you. All right, okay, second, Glenn? Library?
The tech grant is almost complete. I mean, I've purchased everything that I'd asked for with our technology grant. And so this week, our tech people are supposed to come and install everything that we had got on our tech grant. So then it should be complete after everything's installed, and I get all the rest of the paperwork put in. And, we finally got us a different copy machine. And, and the faxes and stuff. And the thing is at first, I didn't think the fax machine was working because we wasn't getting a confirmation. So then I had to test it out and found out it really was working. I didn't know what I was talking about. But anyhow, I made my tech people fix it. Fix it so that it would give us a confirmation so that we know that it was going. Yeah, because we didn't know at first that it was even faxing anything. Stuff was just disappearing, and we was like, what happened? We didn't know. You get it, so anyway. So there was that, and then our new board member came over to the library last week and gave the library a heating press, and that's to put onto t-shirts, so you use it for t-shirts or whatever, and that's to go with our cricket that we're getting, or that we've gotten with our grant, so that I can have like t-shirt programs for kids and stuff like that, so they can make their own t-shirts. So, so they gave us the heating press. So,
All right.
since, I think it was 2016,
Okay.
when they first moved here.
All right, appreciate it, Glenn.
All right.
All right, okay, let's see.
Mayor, I got one more thing.
Yes.
We are running the Mid-South Food Bank,
Oh, yeah.
tomorrow. We're gonna be doing it, at the library. We just recently signed a new contract with the Mid-South Food Bank.
Okay.
Right now, we're just gonna do one drop a month because, you know, we get pretty busy over there sometimes. So right now, we're just gonna do, one time a month. Now, if we start building up volunteers and stuff like that to help us, then we can actually do it, twice a month. But they have pretty much assured us that they're getting better, USDA meat and stuff now. Right now, we just slot ourselves to provide up to 100 people. Now, we can change that, you know, as if we see that it's gonna be more and more people, but all we are doing is just a 38075 zip code.
Right.
So this is, we're not doing other towns and stuff like that, we're taking care of our community.
Yeah.
You know, because they have the same option to do what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
You know, they go around asking, you know, other churches, you know, churches in the area, they can do the same thing with Mid South.
Okay.
But we're gonna do it, at 10 o'clock tomorrow and everything, and I think Plug and some other people have volunteered to come down there, and help us.
All right.
Oh, that reminded me, I'm gonna be at the school later tomorrow to read stories for Plug and for the library.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Man, I volunteer to help.
I appreciate it.
I'm retired, I ain't got nothing to do.
Yeah, they supposed to be dropping the food about sometime between 8:30, they're gonna drop the food. Then we're gonna have the table set out to where we can individually package.
Where bounce is
At
that?
the
Oh, he
library.
said,
Yeah, it's the library.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're gonna set out, get all the packages ready, and, we're gonna have folks line up on the westbound side,
Yeah.
facing eastbound, so the vehicles be lined up that way, not toward inside town. So we're gonna run about 3 at a time, through the parking lot, so we're not blocking the next door neighbor's private
Gotcha.
drive right there. And,
That should work fine.
yeah, it'll work,
Okay.
fine.
I have a question for Ben.
Yes.
Ben, how did you go about notifying, you said you're doing it 38075, so how did you go about notifying the community on, you know, who will be accepted?
I
It
put
was
it
on
on,
It's on Facebook.
I put it on
We
Facebook.
made it public.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it got shared,
It's
quite a
shared.
bit.
It was-
Yeah.
I
But you
saw
know,
it.
if anybody misses this one, they can still come in and sign up for the next one. So we just asked them to bring some type of proof that they live in the 3075 area code, or zip code, and they can be put on the list for the next drop.
Okay, because even though if it was announced on Facebook, but another option, you know, you could have it, you know, we could announce it at church, you know, services and stuff like that. But I just asked.
Okay.
Ms. Chandra, also, the ones that had applied for the mobile pantry, they were all, the ones from Whiteville or the 38075 zip code were called.
Okay, that's good,
They
that's
were
good.
called.
Because like I said, you wanna stay in your community, so, like you said, being, you know, they have the same opportunity in other.
I think right now, we're anywhere between 70 to 80 people that have signed up so far.
Okay, that's good, okay.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay. All right, thank you, Ben. Let's see. All right, any board members have anything?
March 18th is,
Oh, yeah.
still supposed, are we still having it March 18th?
That's,
Chief, ex-chief,
David
David Harris's
Benefit.
benefit.
Yeah, for David.
Yeah, and it's gonna take place at the
Oh,
fire.
and that reminds me too, that on, Good Friday, we're planning on having that egg hunt.
Oh,
And Mr. Tommy's already promised me he'd be the Easter bunny for us.
we gotta go.
Make sure he puts it on the line.
gotta
Make sure he puts the uniform on.
Exactly. First you put it on backwards, but you know.
Oh, my God.
Stay up in the front.
Yeah, so it's mixed.
Oh, yeah, with the
We
price of
have an
eggs.
apron on there, so
The
that
price
only
of
one
eggs, I
child
don't know.
knows.
Well, they supposed to be going down.
Are they going down now? Okay, good. Okay. All right, I didn't know
Excuse me,
if that's gonna put a damp on the Easter egg hunt.
Mayor, What do
Yes.
you have for March 18th? What time is that benefit?
Oh, that's the benefit for, our former chief of the fire department.
What
Yeah.
time?
It
Probably
is-
for about 11 o'clock, it's probably.
Starts
gonna
about
be stew.
11.
It's gonna be stew, chicken halves,
Yeah,
they're gonna, sell tickets for a gun.
and then they're just accepting
T-shirts.
donations as well.
Okay, cause I know you have a meeting here at 10 o'clock on March 18th.
Yeah,
That's the reason
yeah.
I asked.
Uh-huh.
Okay,
Has
okay.
anything,
Right.
has anything been put together that we can put out on Facebook for it?
What kind of?
Tanya is doing
It's-
it, but
it's
she's
Democratic,
waiting for stuff to come in for what to put on there and stuff. Did you go to the prisons today?
No,
Merle didn't see that.
we have budget stuff to go.
Gotta have some money.
All right, so,
Make a motion to adjourn.
but the park, so progress going on at the park, if you wanna speak to that,
Yes, the park has been taken care of. Now we got a new swing set, and some of the was unsafe have been removed, so we're working on replacing for the children, so.
yeah, so, the park is starting to look really good
Right.
now, the, walking trail is being utilized,
Why is
and,
the lights on?
Man,
Why was the ball field lights on this afternoon?
who don't know?
But what,
Maybe they're ready to play ball up there. Somebody's
This
been
is
asking me about that, but that's a whole nother, we'll talk about
When they
that.
gonna be able to cut the water on up at the park?
We need to say,
The water's not on inside the bathroom.
it's not,
No, it wasn't, last week when I went up there.
It may be.
Cause I went and cleaned up and on the inside.
it was, well, it probably was looking, I mean, it needs to be.
I know they had to fix the pipes and things on
And it probably turned off. Cause they didn't want
But
to
the
freeze.
feds told me you gonna turn them on, but I went up there and they hadn't turned them on yet.
Okay, I'll check.
can I ask you, it have been in progress on putting that equipment up there behind the building, yes?
So the bids
Yeah.
should be in, by March the 15th.
Okay,
All right, so we can get all that
take care.
taken care of and put the other equipment up.
Pavilion, is that another pavilion?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and plus the signs.
yeah, we got some more signs too.
Yeah.
All right. Very good. Okay, if there is nothing else, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion.
Motion